guys, Kira here. Welcome back to my channel, Kira Smiles. Today, my video is going to be about books and movies that just have this fall feeling and that I just love to watch during this time of the year. Looking outside right now, it's actually raining, so it's just this kind of like weather puts me in a mood that I just want to like curl up with a book or curl up in front of a movie and just go, you know, and just like sit and relax and just be at peace, you know? I don't know, I love this weather. My cat's meowing in the background, sorry. Oh my god, she's insane. Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start off with the movies. Alright, so I have 3 movies that I'm gonna talk to you about today. The first one I'm gonna talk about is one of my all-time favorite movies. I watch it throughout any season, but I just find it has this feeling of fall. And once I tell you what the movie is, you're gonna think like, Kira, this isn't like a fall movie because like the opening scene is like during the winter, but it just has like this feeling for me. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of like this dark but kind of warm time, you know? So anyways, the movie is If I Stay, and it's also a book, but I actually prefer the movie. This is one of the only cases where I prefer the movie. I just kind of like how it flows better in the movie than it does in the book, and I just found they chose such amazing actors to be in this movie. Okay, so if you don't know, if you haven't heard of If I Stay, it's a love story, but it's not your typical love story. The movie starts where the main girl's family gets in a car accident, and so it's her kind of having an out-of-body experience. And so she's kind of reminiscing on how her life has been in the last year and a bit, and she's just kind of going over how she's been falling in love with this boy. And the whole kind of premise of the movie is whether she will fight to survive or will she perish and end up going to heaven. So it's such an amazing movie. The soundtrack in this movie is amazing. I actually listen to this music like on my own, like without the movie sometimes. Like I just find it on Spotify and I just listen to it because it's just so good. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite fall movies. Next up, it's Across the Universe. And this movie, first of all, the soundtrack. Again, all 3 movies have the same kind of like amazing music. This one is mostly Beatles songs that they've kind of recreated to fit, not recreated, but they've kind of changed the style of, like they use the same lyrics, but they changed the style to kind of suit the movie. It's fantastic. So anyways, this is a movie about, it's another love story, but you're kind of following around multiple characters' lives and they kind of all intertwine at one point. So it's different love stories, different heartbreak, different situations that's going on during World War II and just kind of how they're surviving and how they're living their lives. And it's an incredible movie. I'm going to watch it soon actually because I haven't watched it in quite some time, but it's really, really good. And again, it kind of has that dark, kind of desperate feel to it, but it also has hope and glimmer and light, and I kind of really like that for the fall, you know, how we're getting close to winter and that's kind of like the dark season, if you want to characterize it as something, and you're just leaving the summer, which is the light and like hopeful and beautiful season, you know, in that sense. So it's just kind of the in-between, and I really love this movie for that time. So yes, Across the Universe, fantastic. And my third movie, I couldn't find it. It must be in my house somewhere, but it's August Rush. And this is one of my, I haven't watched it in a while actually, but it's one of my all-time favorite movies, again, because the music is so incredible. If you haven't seen it, it's about this little boy who you kind of see him in an orphanage at first, and he wants to go and find his parents. He wants to go find where he came from. And so he goes on this journey, and he ends up in New York, and he ends up just kind of living his life a little bit on the streets. And it's really, really interesting how he just kind of starts to develop himself and how he starts to teach himself how to play instruments, and just how he's just this really cute boy who has so much wisdom. So I would definitely suggest watching it if you haven't, or rewatching it if you have. Alright, so those are the movies. Now the books. The books, again, that I'm going to be talking about have that kind of underlying feeling of, I want to say despair. I think despair is probably the best word. That underlying feeling just of darkness and despair, and kind of the feeling that something is wrong throughout the whole book. And I love that. I love that. Because then at the end, it's just like everything is revealed, and it's like this weight off your shoulders, but it's also like this new weight on your shoulders, because it's like, oh my god, that's so terrible, you know, like kind of that feeling. I love that. The first book that I have here in my hands is called 13 Reasons Why. This is a pretty popular book. It's like a teen novel, and it's about, well, the start of the book is this boy gets a package and it's these cassette tapes. He starts listening to these cassettes, and it's a girl that has died. It's her voice on these cassettes, and she's telling him, you have to listen to this. So anyway, so it's kind of her retelling her life and how come she ended up dead. And which sounds very like morbid and dark, but it's incredible. Like it's very touching. This book is like a fantastic example of how awry things can go. The words you speak and the actions you make, they definitely have an impact. No matter how little you think they do, they still do. So anyways, yeah, it's quite an interesting book. Very different than anything I've read, really. This next book is a book that I read for a book study in my grade 12 English class. So I chose this book. I wasn't quite sure about it at first. Even when I started reading it, I was kind of like hesitant as to whether I would like it or not. And it actually took me quite some time to finish, but it's not because I didn't end up liking it. It was because it was just so heavy. And like heavy in the sense that it was just like there was so much information, and I had to pause after every few chapters and just kind of let it sink in. So the book is about Margaret, and it's kind of her reminiscing on her life. Now at the beginning of the novel, you find her, she's sitting at her desk. She's thinking back on her childhood because her daughter has left. She kind of picked up and left without really telling Margaret, the mother. And so now Margaret is reminiscing on her childhood and how she was doing at her, while she was her daughter's age, and just kind of how she got to where she is today. And it's quite an intense book. There's quite some interesting lessons that you learn throughout the novel. There's some really interesting characters, but it's not a book where you feel like you want to go save the world after you read it. You know, it's more kind of a book where you sit back and you're like, wow, okay. This next book is actually what my friend read for her book study, and she suggested it to me afterwards. She said it was fantastic. It was probably one of the most riveting books she's ever read. And so I was hooked right away as soon as she said that. So I picked it up, and it's called Fall on Your Knees by Anne-Marie MacDonald. And wow, like that's pretty much all I can say about this novel. It's just so incredible, and not incredible in a good way. It's just so messed up. Like it's this family, these girls, these sisters that grow up together, and you get glimpses into their lives as well. It's just so crazy. And the author did such an amazing job of making these girls so evil. And it's not even like evil as in like you know right away that they're evil. It's like they all have this underlying tone. They all just have like this deep, like this like innate desire to be evil for some reason. And it's just so weird. Like even the ones that you think are really, really nice, like they have this like deep, dark, like evil in them. And it's crazy. And like the stuff that these girls go through is insane. It's during World War I on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. I think my jaw dropped multiple times while I was reading this book. Like it's pretty intense, and it's pretty, it's pretty messed up. But it's really one of those books that if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll really enjoy. And again, it's a Canadian novel, which makes me really proud to be Canadian. All right, and my last book, I don't know if I can call it a book. It's actually a graphic novel. And when I was younger, I don't know how young, maybe grade 4 or 5, I loved these graphic novels. One of my boyfriends recently, not one of my boyfriends, I don't have more than one boyfriend, but a boyfriend that I dated like about a year ago now, he got me this for kind of like my birthday, because I had told him how much I liked it when I was younger. So anyways, it's the Bone books. They're really, really good. They're by Jeff Smith, and it's the complete cartoon epic in one volume. So like, look at this bad boy. Like that's some serious reading. So anyways, like it's like these bones, like it's really cool. I don't know. I like it a lot. So anyways, yeah, it's like, it's these people that are like, they're bone people. Like, I don't know how else I can describe it. They're bone people. And, it's these 3 brothers, and they get run out of, or 3 cousins. Yeah, 3 cousins, and they get run out of town. So now they ended up in like this desert, and they're trying to find their way back. And it's just like, they go through like a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And there's actually like, there's some scary parts in this book. Like there's some like creepy monsters. I can't read this before bed sometimes because it's like, I don't know, it's just scary. And the animation is really, really good. And so anyways, yeah, like, if you get a chance, at least pick up one of them, because it's funny. Rereading it now, like I'm catching more of the jokes, and it's funny. Like it really is. So anyways, yeah, Bone book. This bad boy is quite good if you're into something that's that's a little less, it's heavy, but it's not like heavy material, you know what I'm saying? So that's all for my video today. I would love to hear what you guys are interested in because I'm always looking for new books and new movies to sit down and watch. So yeah, if you have any ideas, leave comments down below. I really appreciate you guys continuing to watch my videos. I'm having such a great time doing them. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I spend these hollow nights all alone.